Um, I'm never quite sure how well known SME United is, so I have one slide on that. Where the organization, the voice of all of those 25.8 million SMEs, so cross-sectoral organization and a European social partner. And we have members in 30 European countries and also sectoral members. I have to say, we don't have a sectoral member on furniture. But it's a focus sector in the next couple of years because we also deal with eco-design measures, and that's one of the sectors who will be in the focus. Yeah, that's low battery as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so much about energy efficiency, but
So I think that was the last remaining mic, right?
I think so. The other
Okay.
one's fine. So basically, if you can, project,
Yeah,
speak louder,
I
project
can
your
speak.
voice.
I don't know if the online participants can hear us.
They can hear you
via the laptop. Yeah. So one of the things I really would like to again stress is the fact that actually 93% of all SMEs are micro enterprises. So we're talking about the large a majority of SMEs in particular when you talk about crafts SMEs in the furniture sector, for example. Yeah. So a lot of micro enterprises. And at SME United, I'm dealing with climate, energy, and environment policy. And we advocate for an enabling energy policy framework, which resonates a lot with what the project is doing. So we really say we need more incentives for energy efficiency measures, for renewable production, for collective actions of SMEs teaming together in close proximity or in specific sectors. Yes, giving targeted and effective support to SMEs. And I think that's what the project is aiming for. We were also partner in the Covenant of Companies, which was also a European funded project to give technical assistance. And I will, in a couple of minutes, talk a little bit about the lessons learned when it comes to how to reach SMEs. I mean, everyone knows the development of energy prices, but I just wanted to stress it again. If you look at the development of the energy prices, the surge of the prices in the energy price crisis, but you still see we're at a relatively stable high level of energy prices. So I think that is an intrinsic incentives to go for energy efficiency measures because this is not likely going to surge down again. So I think the incentives are also there, but still the speakers before me identified barriers why it's still difficult to get most of the SMEs engaged in those kind of measures. I've brought a couple of visualizations that we did a study with a civil society organization, and one of the questions was how are those energy prices impacting SMEs? And here you see a lot of those results. I mean, making a business less profitable is very clear, sometimes even threatening the existence of a business, increasing the prices, or reducing staff were one of the effects that we could have seen there. Then, I mean, the survey was really focused on renewable energy and the benefits of it. But there was one question of how SMEs respond to the energy costs. And it does say that energy efficiency measures are actually among the most common measures been taken, considering to be taken, or doing it in the bit of the medium one. So smart metering, improving heating and insulation, for example, were measures that were mentioned here as well. And also the European Commission has data on energy efficiency action, resource efficiency actions, and their data also shows that saving energy measures, a very broad term, is one of the most commonly taken actions by SMEs, and the development also shows a slight increase over the past years. So then again, you might ask yourself, if everyone's already doing it, where's the problem? Yeah, the problem is that not everyone's already doing it, and it's hard to reach those SMEs, as the speakers before have identified as well. So what did we learn from the Covenant of Companies, where our main task was really reaching out to SMEs and reaching out to policymakers, explaining the boosters and blockers. So we tried there to combine various communication strategies to equip SMEs with the tools and the knowledge to advance their decarbonization journey. So that's a parallel to the DEESME project. So a couple of, oops, I'll stay on the same thing. So a couple of things we identified was that you really have to facilitate an easy access to information, and it helps to cooperate with SME organizations on the European, but also in particularly on the national and regional level. Personal communication, help desk that really know how to talk to SMEs is something that is really, really crucial, apart from all those social media stuff that you can do. Then also mentioned as part of your package, tools and guides, short webinars, step-by-step guides are something that proved to be rather effective. The most effective thing, though, and I think we've seen it with a short testimonial of the French entrepreneur, was really like presenting people who have taken measures, who can credibly say this has brought me benefit, and it wasn't that difficult, so consider doing it. I think this is the kind of stories, the kind of peer-to-peer learning that is very effective among entrepreneurs and also across borders. So the French colleague might easily motivate someone from outside France, for example. And then explaining the business case of those kind of investments is really, really crucial. And the tailored assistant that SMEs need. At best, going there, one-to-one individual assistant, going on site, looking at the problems, identifying even the small problems that could make a difference, and of course speaking to SMEs in their local language, because English is a barrier. I think we've seen this also with the French entrepreneur. And so, as a member of the advisory board, I asked myself, why does your problem work? Because apparently you're delivering on your deliverables, which is not the case with every EU-funded project. I'm not an expert on the way you actually do your technical work, but what I like about this multiple benefits approach is that it tells a different story about why you should be doing energy audits. So not an obligation, not only a technical thing that decreases your energy bills, but really also taking a wider look at what other benefits could be there. And I think this is something that makes it an attractive approach for entrepreneurs in small businesses. And especially, and that's what I was thinking a little bit later, if you look at the furniture sector, it might be interesting also to then see how can I actually use those benefits and those cross-references when it comes to what I have to do for eco-design requirements when it comes to my product. So it might also be a guiding thing when it comes to other legislation that we also deal with. So simple audits, low cost, lightweight audits, I think when they're focused on dialogue, they really listen and observe. I think that's something that you need to be doing to really get effective results in the long term and spur off a further action as a second and third step. And then the funding element is really crucial, and you have a publication on that, helping SMEs to identify the right funding streams, making them aware of the barriers that those streams, those funding sources have, and then trying to overcome the barriers and going as regional as possible with the funding sources is something that is really nice, but it's also very difficult for European projects to do. So I once talked to a couple of mayors in the Covenant of Mayors, and they said, "Oh, your project's nice, but do you know what percentage of funding opportunities you miss when you just look at national funding schemes?" I think she mentioned something like 60 or 70%. That's also something that could really help. That's also, and I think if you have smart projects, you need smart communication. And when I remember correctly, you are trying to have a relatively active outreach to organizations dealing with SMEs, maybe to other multipliers, individual SMEs, which is a lot of work. But I think if you do this on LinkedIn, if you do it right, that's a very good outreach that you can do on your own without, being very dependent on organizations like mine or our members. The project is called DEESME 2050. So I asked myself, what could come after that? If you allow me, maybe some recommendations. That's what we do as advocacy organizations. If you want to have more direct contact to SMEs, consider taking SME organizations on board in those projects. If you want to be really effective, I'm really happy to also do the liaison with our national organizations, who eventually are much closer to the businesses than we are in Brussels. So that is one way, because you rightly said SMEs have limited resources. SME organizations have as well. And implying those directly, rewarding a little bit their contribution, really makes it much more effective to get in contact to the SMEs. You focus on sectors that are really relevant, also because they're related to other legislation. So I think that's a really good sectoral focus. Yeah, that's good for future stuff. Going as regional as possible, I understand with a couple of your partners, that's already the case. So that really also helps in also making SMEs aware the European level is doing something for us. It really helps us. Something I miss with your publication is really translating it in other languages, because we also seen most of our publications that we did in the Covenant project were in English, and we should have had more budget on translation to really make them, disseminate them even wider. And last but not least, I think it's something that we all should think about is how can we really foster and enhance the collaboration between multi-stakeholder arrangements. So regional authorities, SME organizations, chambers, for example. And I think there's a lot we can learn from other EU projects. There's a lot we can learn from civil society, who organize campaigns in exactly doing that, focused on households, but some of them try to transfer that also to businesses. So to really make an effective effort in one community in close proximity. I really think now is the time to accelerate energy efficiency measures. We've seen the development of energy prices. We have a policy framework on the European level now. So projects like yours are really timely at the moment. Going beyond traditional concepts of audits, I think is a good way of go to, and telling the right story to activate SMEs and empower them to take actions is really important. And if you allow me the last personal comments, if you look at the developments, the Green Deal fatigue, and the voting results we have in several countries, presenting those kind of actions as a way of greening your business without having to wait for policymakers to do whatever they do, is also a way of really creating a momentum for people to be motivated and engaged in that, and not saying, "Ooh, that can wait for 10 years or until 2050," because it can't. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Andreas. Excellent presentation, and kind of give me some food for thought. It was last month we had the DEESME 2050 is a live project. Last month we had this was called contractors meeting at the CINEA, for the future plans for the LIFE program when it comes to the energy. And we were involved there, DEESME, and also several other projects, DIP also that we work on SMEs. But what was interesting, what was raised there is that in alternative to doing working with the SMEs one by one, as you mentioned, I mean, they raised issue as one of the pillars for the future program is these kind of energy communities, and working on the kind of including the companies, not energy communities in a classical sense with just people, but basically kind of clustering the work on the SMEs. I mean, we have been working this already partly, through kind of industrial symbiosis or industrial urban symbiosis. But one of the ways to kind of expand work on the especially multiple benefits, before very often these non-energy benefits, multiple benefits, they don't end on the factory gate. They connect, with the surrounding area or the suppliers or kind of throughout the value chain. Is that that we might want to look how could we fit, kind of future of this program, within these sort of energy communities. I mean, the commission, the CINEA presentation was quite clear, and we were sort of quite surprised with this, because this is one of the sort of pillars of their future work, and bringing together kind of working one to one, with the SMEs, so far, I mean, at the EIP, we're doing it 12, 13 years. I mean, engaging directly at the Hanover Messe, as we have spoke, earlier, Daniele. It's limits because you cannot reach them all in their own languages and, reach them all kind of on the level, where this opportunity of kind of looking, through kind of bringing SMEs, into or industrial actors into these energy communities could be a sort of opportunity for our work to continue. I don't know. I mean, you or anybody else has a comment on this, but this is basically in cooking at the CINEA, and we have been working quite closely with them on sort of trying to sort of optimize, this, because this also unlocks, replication of the existing projects and the past projects. So it's sort of there is a possibility of this, opening this kind of opportunities level. Ettore, I know you have kind of also very kind of encapsulating view on this issue, and I would very much like if you can join us and give your take on the project. But sorry, this was meant, more as a comment, not.
Just a very quick answer. I mean, I really like the call that CINEA did on collective energy actions, and I hope you got a project in that call, because it really is about fostering that collaboration that I meant. And I can see our members got increasingly interested in this energy sharing issue. So it's really a relevant issue. It's something that motivates them. It's something that they find out, oh, there's something we can do, but they need this little push for the first and the second step. So I'm curious to what your colleague has to say.
Okay, thank you, Anders.